There is a secret to building a life that will work for you. A life, a business, partnerships, clients, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what that is. There's one exercise that everybody should do on a semi-regular basis, and if you haven't done it, I'm gonna ask you to follow along with me as you watch. There's so much opportunity out there. There's so many things that you can be successful at. There's so many things that are going to work. There's so many things that people wanna do with you, especially the more successful you get, the more this becomes true, and it's overwhelming. All the opportunity is overwhelming. We do a pretty good job at defining what we want, right? It's like, I want a lot of money, I want to be able to travel, I want to work with people I like, I want to work in a specific industry, I want. Great. What don't you want? Said better, like a kid that didn't go to public school. What do you not want? What are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you cannot have in your life? When I learned this lesson and I started to define my non-negotiables, I began to realize there are so many things I'm saying yes to that I shouldn't be doing. What was really interesting about it too is until your non-negotiables are defined, you're gonna see opportunities that feel like absolute no-brainers. You actually feel stupid passing them up. And you don't know why you would. You know, somebody comes to you with something like, hey, we should start this business or go after this client, or, you know, I have somebody who wants to pay us for this service. And you're like, there's no reason for me to say no. So I say yes, and then I'm miserable. We've all been there. On a long enough timeline from an entrepreneurial perspective, you've been miserable in a business that's successful and you don't know why. I remember the first time I had a financial goal I wanted to hit. Forget what it was, to be honest with you. I think it was like, if I could get to $250,000 to me, like $250,000 take home, I knew I'd be happy. I knew I'd be fulfilled. I knew I'd be just like, oh gosh. And I got there and I remember thinking like, this is horrible. And I had this business that was everything to everybody, and I had all these clients that were just hard and mean, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I had employees that were hard to manage, and it's because I didn't define my non-negotiables. There's so many things that I don't want to do. Right now, if you can, take out a pad and pen or your phone or whatever it is that you use to write and make notes on, and just start writing the words or typing the words. I do not want what? I do not want to be in meetings. I do not want to work after 6 p.m. I do not want to work on the weekends. I do not want to work on my kid's birthday. I do not. What is it for you? Like, I don't want to be on the org chart. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, we should start I have a portfolio of businesses. I'm having a ton of fun building businesses. I love it. It's so much fun. Everybody knows that. So they come to me with ideas. Hey, we should do this thing. Just cool, great, awesome, FYI. I don't want to be on the org chart. If I'm on the org chart, it's a no-go. I don't at any point want anybody to come to me for anything that would be considered in the business, not on the business. And guess what? That's been a deal breaker a couple of times, which is great. It's great. It's kept me from starting things or being involved in things that are going to be miserable for me. I don't want to be in meetings. I hate meetings. I've had a business partner in the past that he would get really anxious about things and he'd schedule meetings, and I'd get these random meeting invites, and then he'd want to, you know, have these recurring meetings and these anchor meetings, and he had just read Traction by Gino Wickman, and so he wanted level 10 meetings and 6 meetings and 5 meetings, and I am not a meeting person. And if you are, that's great. It's my non-negotiable. Don't want to do it. Don't want to be in meetings. It's not to say that I won't be in meetings. That's just to say that we're going to communicate asynchronously first, and if we can't solve the problem from an async perspective, which by the way almost never happens, then great, schedule a meeting. Awesome. I like async. You like meetings. Love you, mean it, wish you success. We can be in a mastermind together. We can be buddies. We can go get coffee together. I don't want to start a business with you. What are your non-negotiables? It helps you define your buy box. If your buy box is only the things that you want, it's incomplete. You need to define the things that you do not want. And here's what's really crazy is, at least for me, I didn't realize some of the things that I didn't want. I don't want to sell non-recurring services. I didn't really realize that until I started typing, I don't want, just type, I don't want, and I promise you something's going to flow out. What is it that you're feeling anxious about right now? What is the thing that pushed you off yesterday beyond all repair? What is it that you wake up worried about? That's what you don't want. I don't want clients that treat me like I work for them. Might be an example. I remember feeling that way. Like, I'm a vendor. I'm not an employee. I don't want to work with a client that makes me feel like an employee. That's a great one. I don't want clients that don't pay on time. That's another great one. I don't want clients that are unreasonable. That's another great. What don't you want? And it's what don't you want from a business model perspective? What don't you want from a timing perspective? What don't you want from a role perspective? What don't you want to do? My business mentor, his name's Greg Smith. He's one of the smartest people I've ever known. He's bought and sold 40 some odd banks, the same airline twice, pharmaceutical companies, plasticizing companies. He's amazing. He has this saying that he just will not stop repeating. He says, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. Here's what's interesting about negotiation. You need to know what you want when you're negotiating. You also need to know what you don't want. You have to know what the terms are. And what you don't want, I think, as often as not, is actually more important than what you do want. Because what you do want, that's easy for two parties to navigate. It's like, I want, I'm selling this business and I want $10 million. Okay, great. Well, I want the assets, not the LLC and non-compete and whatever. Great. We're aligned on what we both want. That's what most people are used to doing. Well, what don't you want? I don't want to stay working in the business. Is that a deal killer, right? Like, those are the things that really end up surprising you. So define what you don't want and define it clearly. If you're going to negotiate successfully, and not just negotiate with other people, but negotiate with yourself, negotiation isn't about winning. When you win a negotiation, that means that somebody lost. And if there's a loser in the negotiation on a long enough timeline, everybody loses. Because the loser is going to be able to, their comeuppance will come, right? Not to be redundant. Negotiations are about finding alignment. And alignment requires that we be three-dimensional. Because if it's two-dimensional alignment, which would just mean, what I want matches with what you want, great. Then we're not really on a firm footing. So to get three-dimensional with your alignment, let's get aligned on what we both want. Let's also get aligned on what we both don't want. And that helps us really circumnavigate this situation and look at it from all angles and make sure that we're not about to enter into a business, a partnership, taking on a client, a contract, an agreement that backfires for one or both of us. You don't want losers, you want alignment. And knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want is exactly how you find that. What I like to do is I like to coach other people through this process. So if I'm hiring an employee, if I'm taking on a partner, if I'm bringing on a client, I want to know what they want. I also want to know what they don't want. What didn't work for you in the past? It's a pro tip that really, to be honest with you, helps seal the deal, and it helps make people comfortable with you because you're asking questions I promise you, nobody's ever asked them before. It pulls the truth to the forefront that really lets you have the hard conversations that make sure that you're aiming towards longevity and keeping everybody happy on the same page. This is my favorite thing to do. My favorite thing to do is find alignment because it moves you towards, I call them alchemical relationships. Alchemical relationships, alchemy is turning lead into gold, right? Philosophically or metaphorically speaking. Alchemical relationships are relationships where 1 + 1 = 10. I had this with John Moran at Solutions 8. I had this with Greg Bilbrough at GeoFlip. I have this with Yvonne Boone and now at Pareto Talent. I have it with Perry Belcher at Driven Mastermind, Perry Belcher and Jason Fladlin. Alchemical relationships mean I bring something to the table, you bring something to the table, and what we both bring to the table when combined equals many multiples of what it would have been solo, independent of each other. John Moran was the greatest Google Ads mind in the world. If you don't believe me, go Google him. Look at what people say about him online. Like, everybody take his word as absolute, complete, and total gospel. Guess what? He hates all things logistical, all things operational. Doesn't like dealing with employees, doesn't like dealing with clients, doesn't like dealing with finances. Guess what I'm pretty good at, right? Like, what an amazing relationship that was. He and I built a business that resulted in an 8-figure exit. It was phenomenal. It was amazing. Perry Belcher, there's no human in the world that can skate to where the puck is going better than Perry Belcher. But once he solved a problem, he moves on. Perry cannot for the life of him stay there and continue to solve the same problem over and over and over again. He would die. He can't do it. Guess what I'm really good at? Professional services. Guess what Perry and I do? We start businesses. He solves the problem. I build the service-based business around it. It's a perfect relationship. It's a marriage of people that really can play 1 + 1 = 10. But you can't do that until you define what you want, which you've probably already done. And most importantly, you define what you don't want. So right now, hit it in the comments. What don't you want? The things that you don't want are going to inspire other people, I promise. So in the comments, just start typing, I do not want, and go. I want to see long, long, long lists. I don't want what? Hit me in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. If you don't mind, like the video, juice the algorithm, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, comment if you have questions or other topics you want me to cover, and most importantly, if you want to help me grow, share this and share it with context. Let people know what you liked, what you disliked, what you agreed with, what you disagreed with, and why they should watch and follow. I'd love to hit 1 million subscribers, and I'd love to do that with your help. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.